What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We've got a strong WNBA slate today, and this is one of those cards where a few games really stand out if you look at the matchups, the form, and the spots properly. There are a couple of games where the edge feels pretty clear. One game that I think should be a fun offensive spot, and then a player prop that I really like if you want to add something extra to the card. So let's get right into it. First game, Indiana and Atlanta. This is one of the better rivalries in the league right now, and it's even better when you get a rematch so quickly because it really gives you a chance to see whether one team can adjust or whether the same issues show up again. That's exactly what I think happens here. Atlanta already beat Indiana in the last meeting, and they didn't just sneak by them, they looked like the better team for long stretches. They were efficient, they got production from multiple spots, and they put Indiana under pressure in ways that were hard to solve. Indiana has talent, no question about that. They can score, they can get hot from deep, and if their shots are falling, they can hang around with anybody. But what stood out in the previous game was how much easier Atlanta made it look on the offensive end. They got to the line, they created good looks, and they controlled the game in a way that made Indiana chase. That's the key for me here. If Atlanta can get the same kind of rhythm again at home, I think they're the side that keeps control of this game. Indiana may be able to score enough to stay competitive, but I don't think they solved the problems from the first meeting just because the venue changed. So for me, my best pick is Dream to win. I also think Atlanta can push Indiana into mistakes again if they keep applying pressure in the half court and turn this into a game where every possession matters. Next up, Phoenix and Seattle. This is probably the least appealing game on the card from a pure watchability standpoint, but from a betting angle, I still think Phoenix has the edge. Seattle has been a mess. They're young, they're inconsistent, and they've been losing in bunches. That's not the kind of profile I want to back against a more complete Phoenix team at home. The Mercury may not have been perfect either, but they've played a much stronger level of competition, and they've shown enough to make me believe they should win this matchup. Phoenix has more experienced creators, more balance, and more ways to score. That matters when you're trying to separate from a struggling team. Seattle can compete in stretches, but over a full game, I trust Phoenix a lot more. So for this one, my best pick is Mercury to win. If Phoenix gets anything close to a normal offensive night, I think they pull away. Next game, Chicago and Dallas. This is another matchup where Dallas really stands out to me as the better side in almost every area. Chicago has been fighting through a rough stretch, and even though they've shuffled the lineup and tried to find something that works, I'm still not seeing enough there to suddenly trust them in a tough road spot like this. Dallas just feels like the more complete team. They've got more scoring options, more size, more versatility, and more ways to make life difficult for Chicago over the course of 40 minutes. Chicago can make things awkward for teams when they defend hard and try to slow the pace, but that only gets you so far when the other side has more firepower and more depth. What also stands out to me is the matchup advantage Dallas should have in a few different areas. They can hurt Chicago on the perimeter, they can attack inside, and they have enough balance to adjust if one part of the offense isn't clicking early. That's important because Chicago doesn't really have the same margin for error. If they fall behind, it becomes a lot harder for them to play their style and keep the game where they want it. I also think the wings are the team more likely to dictate how this game is played. Chicago may be able to hang around for stretches, especially if they bring a lot of effort defensively, but effort alone doesn't usually carry you all the way against a stronger, deeper team. Dallas has too many ways to win this matchup, and that's why I'm comfortable landing on them. So for this one, my best pick is wings to cover, and I also like the under here. If Chicago keeps it respectable, I think that's more likely to come from grit and effort than from them actually being the better team. This is the kind of game where I'd rather trust Dallas to set the tone and control the pace from the start. If they dictate how the game is played, Chicago is going to have a much harder time getting into a rhythm on offense, and that naturally makes the under look more appealing. Dallas has the clearer scoring structure, the better depth, and the more reliable options when the game slows down. Chicago can make things messy and try to drag teams into a grind, but that only works if they're able to stay close and keep the pressure on. If Dallas gets comfortable early, I think they can manage the game in a way that limits Chicago's scoring chances and keeps the total in check. That's why I don't hate the under here. It feels like the type of game where Dallas can get in front, keep Chicago working hard for every bucket, and turn it into more of a controlled matchup than an up-and-down track meet. If that happens, the under has a pretty good chance of staying live deep into the fourth quarter. The player prop I like most on the slate is Angel Reese over points and rebounds. This is a really good spot for it because she's been producing at a high level and her role is extremely clear. She's going to get volume, she's going to be involved on the glass, and she's the kind of player who can hit this number even if the game isn't especially pretty. When a player has that kind of floor through rebounding and interior work, I like backing them in the right matchup. She's also been in a strong run lately, and that matters because confidence and rhythm can carry over from game to game. I don't see a reason to step away from that unless the matchup really pushes hard in the other direction. Here, the path to production still looks pretty solid. The best part about this prop is that it doesn't need Chicago to play well for it to land. Even if the offense gets a little clunky, Reese can still rack up points and rebounds just by doing the things she already does best. That makes this a good angle because you're not relying on a perfect game script, you're relying on a player whose production is built on repeatable volume. So if I'm targeting one player prop here, it's Angel Reese over points and rebounds. So to wrap it up, here's how I'm looking at today's WNBA slate. Dream to win. They've already shown they can handle this matchup, and I think they're in a better spot to control the game again. Dream laying the points. If Atlanta gets into a rhythm early, I think they can separate and keep Indiana from turning it into a one-possession game. Over in Fever versus Dream. Both teams have enough scoring talent to push this game into a higher total, especially if the pace stays where it's been. Mercury to win. Phoenix has the better overall setup and the more reliable pieces, and that should matter here. Mercury to cover. If they play to their normal level, I think they can do enough to cash the number as well. Wings to cover. Dallas looks like the stronger side, and even if Chicago hangs around for a bit, I still trust the Wings more. Under in Sky versus Wings. I like Dallas to control the tempo and make this more of a half-court game than a track meet. Angel Reese over points and rebounds. She's been producing at a high level, and the way she fills the box score gives this prop a strong path to cash. That's the card for today. A couple of clear side plays, one total that really stands out, and a prop that gives you a nice extra angle if you want a little more value on the slate. The main thing is not to overdo it. Let the strongest spots carry the card, stay disciplined, and don't force action just because there are games on the board. The best value usually shows up once the games start and the flow reveals itself. So that's where I'm landing today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with somebody who's betting these games tonight. It helps the channel a lot, and it lets me keep bringing you these daily picks and breakdowns. And I'll catch you in the next one.